Meaningful giving is less about what's given, but more about why it's given, how it's given, and who it's given to. I definitely take pride in understanding that the greatest gifts we give are often gifts of ourselves. How can you be extremely intentional and very sincere and mindful about kind of digging deep into the most authentic places of yourself, and from that place really giving to someone else, either because they're consciously in need or because they have started work that you are passionate about or you believe in, or just because you understand that ultimately, as a person creating and benefiting from so many opportunities in this world, you have the same opportunity to give that forward. I think meaningful giving really is centered around that. It's around understanding that what you give to someone else or to another cause or to a community or just of yourself ultimately is rooted in why you're giving it. The intention to make a significant impact and change in a mission or someone's life. The pressure to be responsible with your giving and to participate in meaningful giving is one that I do feel, but I actually am extremely humbled by feeling that way. It's a responsibility that I feel as a result of being an advocate for my community. It's a responsibility that I have been given as a result of standing firm and presenting myself as an educator in my community, as a product of my community. So ultimately, the responsibility to participate in meaningful giving is really kind of the fruit of the labor of deciding that this was going to be my life work, that I would commit myself to helping other people directly through my own work and my own talents, but also as a liaison for other people, doing work that I just really support and I'm really, really passionate about supporting. So it's a beautiful responsibility. It is a responsibility that each time it weighs heavy in work or effort is a reminder that I have the responsibility because I have been chosen to do this work that is more beneficial than it is trying, definitely. When I think about social media and the millennial generation and how social media and cultural norms that have been established as a result of social media, how that has affected millennial participation in philanthropy, it's this double-edged sword. It's this one part where there is a genuine concern that we are losing the humanity behind philanthropy, the joy of seeing the person that you're giving to, the opportunity to talk to people that benefit from your giving or your participation in a larger cause. Sometimes the quick snap, sometimes the limit of 140 characters doesn't do us the justice to really connect as humans, which is a lot of what philanthropy is about. However, I will say the other side of that is the pure amazement at the brilliance of the millennial generation to really capitalize on social media to extend their causes far past their living rooms, beyond their immediate nuclear community, to figure out how they could engage people that may be in another country or on another continent to either align their mission with their work or to get them involved in their work. I think social media has also sparked a new level of innovation when it comes to millennial philanthropy. Young people in our generation are so creative. Seeing young people design videos, 15-second videos to promote ideas or causes that they're passionate about. Seeing sites develop that allow older people who may not normally participate in social media have a reason to participate in social media. Those two sides of the sword have equally brought me in, definitely. I think the side of the sword where I get concerned about the humanity of philanthropy within our generation allows me to take a pause as someone who is constantly engaged in social media. I get the opportunity to sit down and talk to somebody, and get to know the person behind the need and not just the need, which is so rewarding. So often it becomes more than the dollar that's given. It becomes more than the signature on the petition. It really becomes about the human connection. And social media, being so caught up in social media, gives me an opportunity to recognize that and pause and make the decision to go back to just really dealing with individuals one-on-one. On the other side of that, that innovation really inspires me. It constantly forces me to think on my toes, to really reconsider how young people and millennials are intentionally engaged. What are they using? How are they using it? How can we use what they're using to get them involved? Which gets you so motivated to think outside the box, you know? And that's really exciting because that also draws you back to why you're doing it. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But it's not that easy. And it's not that easy because it requires you to know who you're looking to participate in the giving, why you want them to participate in the giving, and the benefit on both ends of that. And that keeps you sharp and on your toes. Everybody doesn't use social media the same way. So I think social media makes you figure out, if I want it to look visual, how can I use the more visual avenues of social media? If I want people to think about it, what are limited ways that I can say it so that it has a kind of a universal understanding? Or if I want to show community impact, how could I build bridges between the communities that I'm established in on social media? So social media is very complex. I think it's giving millennials an opportunity to participate in a way that they need to. And I'm definitely inspired as a millennial to get more young people and more people in the millennial generation to intentionally and actively participate in philanthropy. I remember first learning about the Invest Foundation and the work that they were doing through the Top 40 Under 40. And I remember that what stuck out to me most about it was not just the recognition, but the long-term engagement and obligation of the young people. I'm saying that all over again. I remember when I first learned about the Invest Foundation, and it was through learning about the Top 40 Under 40. And I remember what really stuck out to me was not just the recognition that people received as a result of being honored, but it was the long-term engagement and obligation that they committed to in their recognition. And what really drew me in about that is at its essence what philanthropy is: commitment. It's not recognition. It's not reward. It's not merely a one-time giving or a giving of something. It really is about taking the opportunity to expand your commitment to an idea, a cause, a community, a person, a passion, and expanding it in such a way that it materializes through a giving process. It really is about understanding that whatever gifts you may have personally, you then have the opportunity to, over a period of your life, give those gifts back out into the world. That, in my opinion, is what philanthropy is. I think very often people think philanthropy is this handout of giving. I don't think that way. I think that philanthropy is really about understanding how connected we all are, and your need ultimately is my need. The same way my resource should then be your resource. Philanthropy is tapping into that understanding so that you then can give what you have to those may need in whatever way you can. It's not always simply by giving of $1. Sometimes it's giving of your time. Sometimes it's giving of your talent. Sometimes it's exchanging dialogue. And the Invest Foundation has done a great job of defining philanthropy. The Invest Foundation has done a great job of defining philanthropy far past these very simple ideas of giving and taking a picture and moving on. And instead, they've replaced that definition or that understanding of philanthropy with what does the investment look like. What's even more profound is, in addition to doing that, is they're doing that with people who, for the most part, are looked at as self-consumed at a time in their life, under 40, and it's taking those individuals that have established themselves and really highlighting that in the midst of doing the work that they do individually or independently, they're still committed to doing work collectively and communally. And I think that really is the heart of philanthropy. And that's why I'm so honored and excited to be able to participate with the Invest Foundation, to not only take this opportunity to look at how we give and how we could best give, but also to really talk about how do we establish ourselves in philanthropy for the long term, so that the next generation under 40 has a very clear understanding of just how they can give continuously and how their children can give. One of my favorite kind of quotes, proverbs, is, "We did not inherit this earth from our ancestors, yet instead we are preparing to give it to our children," and something of that nature. And I love that quote because it speaks to the power of the past to inform the future. And how do we move today to ensure that our legacy doesn't just serve what we have done in the space we're here, rather our legacy creates a very strong foundation for the generation that comes after us, our future. And I think analyzing and looking at philanthropy from people under 40 really does that. It informs how do we continue to engage young people, and young being a very kind of subjective term, but how do we continue to engage a non-traditional community in giving so that it stays forever, it sustains community, it is a legacy that exists within so many communities, and it ensures that philanthropy exists, it exists with a certain strength behind it, and it exists at all age levels, at all different professional levels, and it exists in a very robust understanding of how it can exist.